Hello, everyone. My name is Steven, and I'm here with Snay and Damien, and this is our CS310 final project, the resume helper application. So the idea of our application is that we want to help users with job hunting and provide feedback on their resumes. So there are three non-trivial functions. The first one is providing feedback given a resume PDF, and we do that using LLM. The second one is retrieving contact information for users with similar backgrounds. So given a user's specific experience and career, we can find users who match that experience so that those users can network with each other. And the third non-trivial function is that the application will find similar relevant jobs for the user given their description. So we have two tables, the user table, which stores information about the user, and then the jobs table, which stores information about each PDF, resume PDF that's uploaded to the S3 bucket.
So this is a general overview of the flow of our application, which is a serverless application. We have a client which communicates through an API gateway, which basically calls several Lambda functions that we've written and will expand upon later in this presentation. These Lambda functions connect with the RDS instance in AWS, which has two MySQL tables, as Stephen mentioned in the previous slide. And they also communicate with AWS S3, which stores the resumes. We also have several API requests that we make to ChatGPT, LinkedIn, or OpenAI's text embedding API that we will also expand on later in this presentation.
So here's just a quick list of the client-side functions. You have the generic functions like uploading the PDF, resetting, looking at users and jobs. And then these functions match up with what the non-trivial functions we spoke about earlier, including getting the feedback from the LLM, and then finding similar users, and then finding jobs through LinkedIn.
Now moving on to the first non-trivial feature, which is the resume feedback feature. As you can kind of tell with Snake's description, a lot of our project is similar to project 3. It takes a lot of reference from that, and this function is no different. So first, the first half of it is once you upload a resume, it triggers a Lambda function where once S3 is updated, it will firstly parse through the text of the PDF and then use that text to then send via API to chat to OpenAI itself, where it will then help generate the feedback. And both of those files, the TXT files, which contain both the parsed text as well as the feedback, will be also stored in S3. Next slide, please. Then in order to actually view this feedback, we then use the get function, as you can kind of see over here with our API flowchart. And using a additional parameter, this is how the client side is able to differentiate between retrieving the parsed text or the feedback from S3.
And just one quick thing is that during this process, the LLM also infers certain qualities about the user, such as their career, experience, and location, and then they update that in the RDS accordingly.
So the next feature is comparing feature, which basically compares the user's resume across the other users in our database. And the flowchart for this shows that the client makes a GET request, which goes to the API gateway, and the client provides a job ID. And then based on this job ID, in the resume app compare function in AWS Lambda, we access the RDS instance to find other users' resumes, and then which we access through S3, and then we get a text embedding API, which embeds the resume text for all the target user and the other users which we're comparing with. And then we perform a cosine similarity in our Lambda function to find the users with the most similar resumes. And after finding the users with the most similar resumes, we get their emails from the RDS instance where their emails are stored in the users table. and then we return that to the client so they can continue networking with these users who have similar resumes.
Well, for the job finder feature, the user gives the user ID and a start parameter. So the user ID is used to find the user from the RDS, and then the start parameter is used to index where we want to start looking for the LinkedIn job listings, like which position in that list we want to start retrieving from. Um, we used the LinkedIn HTTP request endpoint for the job listings and each individual job, and we used Beautiful Soup to parse the information and retrieve the information about like the job, title, salary, uh, number of applicants, date posted, and other relevant information, like the link to the actual job as well. And we return that to the client. So yeah, this is just the overall flow. You can see that the job finder application is here. Posting the PDF and retrieving feedback is done over here, and finding similar users is done over here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we will go on to the demo soon.
Hi guys, this is Damien again with Sneh and Steven, and now we're going to go through a quick demo of our resume helper final project. So Steven, if you click enter right here, you'll see that our config file works. And when we hit users, hitting 1, you'll see that we have up to 6 different users, as well as all of the different information that we mentioned in our presentation there, such as experience and location. And if we hit the number 2 for jobs, you'll see that we've already uploaded several different resumes, which is needed in order to showcase some of our features, notably the similarity as well as the web scraping one. And when we now try to upload a database with number 4, over here, we will go ahead and upload resume test.pdf. Nice. Yep, I'm putting it with an appropriate user ID. We will see now that the PDF has been uploaded, and when we hit number 2 to see the jobs, we should see that the job is currently being analyzed by the LLM. And as long as we keep hitting 2 again and again, we will still see that it is in the middle of being analyzed. And actually for us right now, it is just completed. So now with this, the addition of the PDF to S3 has now triggered, as mentioned in the slides, the text parsing as well as the feedback generation with the OpenAI API. So now when we try to look at the extracted text, we will now see that it is all here, as you can see with Jake Ryan. And now when we go down to look at his feedback with number 6, looking at the same job ID, we will now see some feedback which was generated by our LLM in a particular format that we prompted. And so, yeah, and with that, now we will hand it off to Sneh to talk about his similarity feature.
So to compare the user's resumes, you can just hit 8 and whatever job ID you want, which corresponds to the resume version you want to compare with other users. You can now see that it's working and it's finding other users with similar resumes. And it's found 3 users, the top 3 users who have the most similar resume to Jake, to job ID 1001, which corresponds to user 80001. Um, and the user can then contact these emails to network with them and help in his job search.
Okay. Um, the last non-trivial function is finding jobs. So click 9. We are scraping jobs from LinkedIn as a guest, and then we can enter in the user ID. So I can pick say user number 6, and maybe I'll just start at the very beginning of the search, and he'll look for the jobs. Okay, so it has all this information about different jobs. You can click on the links. So, clicking on the link, and then you see that we got to Boston Bioprocess. And you can keep searching if you want. Yeah, so here's an example of continuing the search, and it keeps track of how many jobs you found so far. Okay, so after that, let's say we're done with the application web service and we want to reset everything. We can also reset the database with number 3. You can see that we reset all the users so that their career, experience, and location are none. And the jobs are empty. And just one more thing to showcase how this information about career, experience, and location gets modified. If we upload a resume for user 80001, let's do resume as PDF. Um, that 80001. For function 7, we're uploading and polling, so we can see the job status in real time as well if we don't want to keep hitting download. And yeah, uploading and polling also returns the actual text. And then if you go back to users, you will see that um, these people got their respective information filled in. Okay, so we went through the entire flow for our application. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.